Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Useful Redstone. This one is about Shulker Categorizers. So what is a Shulker Categorizer? Basically it is a system that sorts shulkers according to what content they have. So we are sorting between empty shulkers, shulkers that are partially filled, so anything between a single item and almost full. As you can see here, there's one item missing from filling this up completely. And also shulkers that are completely full. So I have three different systems here. So the first one filters out the empty shulker boxes from those that are either partially filled or completely full. The second one sorts out the completely filled ones from all the others, so those are partially filled or empty. And the third one puts them in three different categories. First, the empty ones, second, the partially filled ones, and third, the completely filled ones. So let's show how this works. For demonstration purposes, I've put a trap chest on top of here. So, empty shulker box, partially filled one, and completely filled one. And you can see it dispenses them and immediately breaks them. And the empty one went in here, and those that have contents went down here. And the way this works is this clock here at the top controls the speed at which the items go down. So basically the shulkers end up here in this dropper and then at a slow rate get spit down into this dispenser here, going down this hopper chain. And whenever a shulker comes through, it activates the dispenser, dispensing the shulker box right here. And with some delay back here, also breaks it again. During those few game ticks where the shulker is dispensed, this comparator will give an output according to if the shulker has contents or not. And if it has any contents, it will unlock this hopper here and allow it to go down. And that's how those with contents end up down here, and the completely empty ones will just go over here. And this basically works the same with all three systems. The only differences are what we do with this comparator output. So for example, this one that filters out the full ones from those that are just partially filled or empty, we basically only make this comparator turn on if the shulker box is completely full by putting in subtract mode and giving it a signal strength of 14 as an input from the side. I can also demonstrate this. There's an empty one, a partially filled one, and a completely full one. And the only differences are what we do with this comparator here that checks the shulkers. So here we can see it put those that are partially filled and empty ones in here, and it allowed the full one to go down, again by unlocking the hopper according to the comparator's output. And the third one is the same again, just changing what this comparator does. So here we have the second hopper here unlock if there's any contents in there, and if it's completely full, it will also power this comparator, which then unlocks the second hopper down here. And that's how we sort into three different categories. Let's demonstrate this as well. Yeah, and as you can see, the empty one went in here, the partially filled one went in here, and the completely filled one went down here. If you want to follow along with the block by block tutorial, then all the materials to build this are on the screen right now and also in the video description. To build this, I will be using your input chest as a reference point. So place a temporary block next to your input and two droppers facing down like so. You can remove the temporary block again and put a hopper taking the items from the chest into that top dropper. And from there, take two more temporary blocks, go 2 blocks below this dropper, and behind these temporary blocks you place a dispenser facing to the right, like so. Now you can remove those temporary blocks and put a hopper into the top of this dispenser and one into the side of this hopper, so this is connected to this dispenser right here. After you got the droppers and dispenser in place, you take a solid block and place them like so, 3 like this, temporary blocks here, another solid block in the corner and on top of these temporary blocks, which you can remove right away. And then place a comparator in subtract mode, reading the signal from this top dropper, which points into this block, which has redstone dust in this corner and one in the opposite corner, like right there. And then a repeater here pointing towards the dropper here with 3 ticks of delay, so right click it twice. And now put a target block next to this top dropper, pulling in the redstone signal from this redstone dust, completing the clock for the top dropper here. After you got this clock in place, you go to the back here, place a solid block underneath where this repeater is, and underneath that solid block you place a dropper. Now with this dropper it doesn't matter in which direction it's facing, and from here you place an observer pointing into this dispenser, which gets its updates from this dropper we just placed. On top of this observer you put a comparator pointing into this solid block right here. Now place 2 solid blocks next to the dropper and observer, 1 redstone dust here, 1 repeater with 2 ticks of delay here, so right click it once. Now a sticky piston at this repeater with an observer at the piston head facing towards the front like this, and a normal piston facing downwards at this observer, so its piston head is right here where the dispenser is, like so. After you got those pistons in place, put 2 temporary blocks here, 1 in front of the dispenser and 1 below, and surround that with glass blocks to the left, to the front, to the back, 1 here, and then 1 solid block on the other side of the dispenser, like so. Now remove those temporary blocks and put a chest below this observer and dropper, like so. With 1 block gap, put another chest here, and those are just placeholders for wherever you want your shulker boxes to go. And now put a hopper into that chest, a hopper line like this, same at the bottom, and connect them with a downwards facing hopper like so. Now this top part is the same for all 3 systems, and the one thing that changes up now for the 3 different ones is what we do with this comparator. Now to sort empty shulker boxes from all the other ones, you can put a solid block right here with a comparator reading the signal from the shulker box that gets placed through this solid block right here. This comparator points into another solid block. At the back of this solid block put a redstone torch, and now takes 3 solid blocks next to this middle hopper that is facing down like this, and then 1 more solid block up like so. Move that temporary block and connect this middle hopper here with the redstone torch. So now this one is locked, and if there's a shulker box that has anything in it, this will unlock and allow that shulker box to go to that bottom chest. So let's demonstrate that it actually works. Throw in an empty one that's partially filled, and a fully one. As you can see, the empty one is here at the top, and the partially filled and the completely full one are at the bottom. Next up, I'm gonna show you the one that filters out the completely full ones from all the other shulker boxes. So, as I said earlier, this first part is all the same. Now, the only difference is what we do with that comparator. So, for that, you place, once again, a solid block right here with a comparator on top, but this one you put into subtract mode, so right click it once. Place a solid block next to this with a redstone block right here, and then put 2 redstone dust, so signal strength 14 goes into the side of this comparator. Now put another solid block in front of this comparator like this with a redstone torch, and once again 3 solid blocks, and then come up by 1, and then 4 redstone dust like this, locking the middle hopper again. So now the only difference here to the first one is that this comparator only turns on if the shulker box that is dispensed here is completely filled, and only then it unlocks this middle hopper, allowing the shulker box to go down. So let's show that it actually works. Again with our 3 different shulkers. And as you can see, the empty one and the partially filled one are at the top, and the completely full one is at the bottom. Now for this third and last version, we obviously need a place for a third category to go. So here we put a placeholder chest, which is again just a placeholder for wherever you want your shulkers to go. And put 2 hoppers going into that, with 1 hopper facing down like so. So the empty ones will go in here, the partially filled ones will end up in here, and the completely filled shulkers will end up here at the bottom. So now for the comparator setup, we put a solid block right here, a comparator reading once again the signal for the shulker through the solid block, put a solid block in front of this comparator with a redstone torch. And for this first hopper right here, we do something slightly different than with the 2 previous versions by doing a solid block setup like this, and then staircase up by 2 like so. And remove those temporary blocks again and put 5 redstone dust like so. And now this redstone torch locks this first downwards facing hopper. And now for the second one down there, we place a temporary block right here, 2 solid blocks like so. You can remove the temporary block, put a redstone dust right there with a comparator pointing to the back here in subtract mode, so right click it once, and behind that comparator put a redstone block powering it, and then put a solid block in front of this comparator. Now a redstone torch right here, put a temporary block underneath this torch, a solid block one below, remove the temporary block and put a redstone dust on top. Now whenever this torch turns on, this redstone dust turns on. Put a redstone torch on the side of this block, and then just a straight line of solid blocks over like so, connecting this second downwards facing hopper to this redstone torch, locking it as well. So the way this comparator setup works now is that if there is nothing in the shulker box, all of the hoppers stay locked and the empty shulker box will just go here. If it is partially filled, it will turn off this redstone torch, unlocking this hopper, making it go down into here. But if it's completely full, it will also unlock the bottom hopper, allowing the completely full shulker to go down into this bottom chest. So now let's show that it actually works. And as you can see, the empty shulker box ended up at the top, the partially filled one ended up in the middle, and the completely full one ended up at the bottom. So that's the last categorizer done as well. As always, there's a world download in the video description along with the parts list. And if you want to see more of me, then consider following me over on Twitch. So I hope you found this to be useful redstone, and if you did like it, then you already know what to do down below. And thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you next time. Bye!